Hey, if you have one of these little AMT backup pistols, I'm going to show you how to field strip it. I'm going to show you how to put a little lube on it and put it back together. Now, one thing I can tell you about AMT is, this one here is chambered in 380, by the way. They made them in several other different calibers also. But AMT was founded in 1977. And, you know, at first, they were making some pretty good pistols. But over time, their quality control went down, and eventually they filed for bankruptcy and went out of business. So you can actually get a good one or a bad one. Now, fortunately, I got me a good pistol here. If you're having problems, it might just need a simple cleaning and a little lube on it. Or it could be you just got a crappy gun, maybe you got a bad magazine, or it could be the ammo. But speaking of magazines, stick around because I want to talk to you about these magazines. But in the meantime, let's get back to the shop and I'll show you how to take this apart. Okay, first thing you want to do is make sure the magazine is out and make sure the gun is unloaded, which this one is. Now, one thing I like about this gun, it has two safeties. Has a thumb safety right here, and it also has a grip safety, just like a 1911. So very safe to carry this gun with around in the chamber, although AMT recommends you do not carry around in a chamber, but I do because I do feel like it is a very safe gun. So you're going to need a punch. This is a 3/32. You can use up to a 1/8 inch, and you'll need a small light hammer. Again, make sure your gun is unloaded and point the gun in a safe direction and pull the trigger. Next, we're going to punch out this pin right here, and we want to punch that pin out from left to right. And when we put this pin back in, same thing, left to right. So let's go and take this pin out. You'll notice on this pin that it's tapered on one end, and there's a little dimple on the other end. When we put this back in, make sure the tapered end goes in first, again left to right. Okay, AMT now recommends that you take a paper clip and put it between the bolt, which is this piece here, and the barrel. And easiest way to do that is just, you can stick your thumb in the trigger guard and just bring it back slightly. Take your paper clip and stick it in. And that's basically just to get the front of the bolt away from the breech end of the barrel. Okay, now once we've done that, we can push out this bolt. You can use a pencil, probably a wooden dowel. I'm going to use this nylon punch here. I'm just going to stick it up there, and I'm going to push it out and take out the bolt. Now if this hammer was cocked, the slide would not come off, but because I uncocked it, you can just take the slide, lift it up slightly, bring it forward, and she comes apart. Okay, let's take a look here at the bolt. Yours should look like this. Here's the extractor. This is the piece that actually pulls out that empty case, and it should look like that. And here's the front of your firing pin, and here's the rear, and it should be sticking out just slightly. See if we can get a shot here. Okay, now check your firing pin, make sure it pushes in, and make sure The other end comes out and it's got a nice round tip to it. There we go. Okay. Again, everything on this gun is stainless steel except for the plastic grips. Okay, this is the recoil rod and recoil spring. Okay, let's take a quick look at the frame here. You'll notice that the barrel is actually welded to the frame, so it's not going to come off. And if you look at the, let's see if we can get focus here. You notice right here between the barrel and the frame where they match up, notice how polished it is. If you have a problem with your gun jamming, that could be the problem right there. If I take my punch and just very gently rub that, I don't feel that seam at all, so it's nice and smooth. If you do that and you can feel it, your punch catching, you may have a problem with your bullets hanging up right there, and you can either polish that up with a Dremel or you can take it to a gunsmith and have him do it, but you'll notice mine is nice and smooth. And this here is the ejector. This is the piece that kicks out the empty case. And if you have to drop your hammer, take the safety off and just put your thumb up here and just gently let that come back. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, if I was going to clean my gun, of course I'd run a couple patches down the bore, then I'd run a bore brush down and I'd swab it out real good. Just basic cleaning of the barrel. But when I lube this, I'm going to put a little drop of lube right here on the back of the hammer. Right like that. Just work that in a little bit. You have a strut here which comes down to your mainspring, and you want to make sure you keep that lubed. Okay. For my grease, I like to use this Tetra. I've used this stuff for years, works really good. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take just a little bit and put it right here. This is where the slide is gonna rub. Okay, just anywhere you notice where there might be some rub marks, that's where you want to put a little grease. And I will end up putting a little bit on the barrel. Doesn't take a whole lot. One thing I want to mention, you notice my safety here is, it's pretty stiff, which is good. Let me show you something. I'm going to take this grip off real quick. If your safety, if you have the grip on and your safety is real loose like this, it's because your grip has not been installed properly. If you just take this grip, put it on here and stick that screw in there, you're going to end up with a big gap right here. And that safety is not going to work correctly. So if you take a look, at your grip here, I don't know if we can see it or not, but there's a groove right here. And it has to fit. If we can get a shot here, but it fits in this groove right here. So just make sure when you put your grip on that you put it on at an angle like this so it can get into that groove. And the frame should be flush with the grip. Let me put this screw back in. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and put this gun back together. Now, ATM recommends that you do not take this gun apart any further, so we're not going to. Again, I'm going to put a little lube here on the rails, and I'm going to put just a little oil here on the barrel. Put a little lube on that. I like to put a little oil on my fingertips and just rub it on that spring. On the slide here, I'm just going to wipe it down. The slide's not dirty, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but I'm going to brush it out, make sure it's fairly clean. And then I'm going to take my grease, and I'm going to put a little bit here. It doesn't take too much grease, just a little bit. And I'm going to take a little oil and put it right in here where the barrel's going to rub. Really, that's about all the lube you want to put on this. Okay, let's go ahead and put everything back together. I'm going to put my recoil spring back in with the guide rod, and it's going to go right in this hole right there. Do it like that. Now take your slide. Now the end of your spring here is going to go right in this hole here, and of course your barrel is going to want to come out here. So just line everything up. Don't bring this slide back too far. Oh, you want to make sure the hammer is cocked. Bring the slide back just a little bit to where it's going to sit like that. And you can see that the back of the slide is hitting the hammer. So all you have to do is squeeze that down just a little bit, like so, and then pull it back, and you've got the slide back on. Now we're going to put the bolt back in. You may want to put just a slight drop of oil on the back of the firing pin. Okay, let's go ahead and put the bolt back in. Put your thumb through the trigger guard, pull the slide back a little bit and hold it. And you can drop your bolt in. You might have to compress the back end of that firing pin a little bit, but it should drop right in there. Now take your paper clip and stick it in the front again. Okay. Now take your pen again. That tapered end is going to go in first. And let's tap it in. There we go. Let's get that paper clip out. Check your gun. Okay, now we're going to do a function check on it. Make sure you cock it. Put the safety on. The gun should not fire. Take the safety off. Do not hit your grip safety yet. Pull the trigger. The gun should not fire. Now squeeze your grip safety, and now the gun should fire. Okay. There we have it. The gun is back together, good as new. Hey, real quick, let's take a look at my two magazines to give you an idea the measurement on the feed lips. This is the original magazine that came with the gun, and this is one I picked up later on. I believe this one is also made by AMT. Both of these hold 5 rounds. So I'm just going to measure the feed lips to give you an idea. So let's take a look here. If I measure the widest part, I come out to 0.436. Let's write that down. And let's do this other one here. And should be right about there. 0.426. So your magazines, the feed lips, should measure somewhere right in that area. Okay? Hopefully that will help you out a little bit. See, that wasn't so bad, was it? I got to tell you, AMT recommends that you only fire ball ammo or full metal jacket, but they say if you're going to fire hollow points, you have to modify the magazine slightly. And what they suggest you do, and I really don't suggest this unless you really know what you're doing, and you got a set of calipers or a micrometer so you can see exactly what you're doing, but what they recommend is that you open up the feed lips just slightly. That's where it starts to flare out right here. They say take pliers and just open it up slightly, just the same thickness of the metal. That's all you want to open it up. Again, pretty tricky, but if you got a gun that you just having a lot of problems with, you might try that. If you bought a used gun and you're having lots of problems, somebody may have already modified that magazine and maybe opened up those lips too much. So I don't know, you might try closing those lips up a little bit, see if that's going to help. One thing I can't answer though is if you open up those feed lips, is it still going to fire ball ammo? I don't know. But if it's going to still fire ball ammo and now hollow points, why didn't AMT do that in the first place with their magazine? Maybe that's one reason they went out of business, I don't know. But you might try that, just thought I'd throw that out. Anyways, now you know how to take your gun apart and clean it, so do that, take it to range and see what happens. Anyways, thanks for watching my video, and we'll see you next time.